and somehow or another, through no real trades, you are able to take map control. That's hard to do. That means
that's just called outplaying your opponent.
Exactly. You know what to do with your units a lot better than your opponent does. And even at the highest top tier playing, we have that discrimination.
It's hard to believe that a player of Sin's caliber could be so outplayed, honestly. But that's kind of the way it happened. It goes that way sometimes. We're going to move on to Heavy Rain right now, our 4th map in this series, where we can see spawning in the top half the Red Zerg player representing Gamania. Is he still a Gamma Bear? I think he is.
Not sure. I will check for you.
We can double check on that. And longtime Gamma Bear. He is Sin. And of course his opponent down in the bottom half of the map of Team Spider, a Taiwanese team, but a Korean player. His name is Czech.
I thought so. He recently left Gamma Bears.
Interesting.
I do believe. Yeah, he did. So I think he's teamless right now.
Well, either way, it's going to be a very important, critical game 4 here, Andre. The winner, if it's Czech, moves on to the Premier League. If it's Sin, we'll have a game 5. And thus far, this series could not be any different from the ZVZs we saw yesterday, which were characterized by shenanigans and tricks. We haven't seen an outright cheese yet. We had the Baneling all in off of 2 bases, but those were 2 saturated bases. And we're not going to see outright cheese even still here in game number 4. As
Ben, I know we have different definitions, but I would call that cheese. You know, I mean, they're just ways of looking at it. Because, you know, I would say if it fails, you're so far behind. But also, there's like a, you know, there's a large percentage of the time that you're not going to fail. So, you know,
I think that's a build you can transition out of.
I do too.
I do not think 10-10-10 is a build you can transition out of.
That's true. But you're guaranteed
and that's kind of how I would define it.
I look at builds in terms of bonus damage, Ben. If it's if what you're doing with your units has bonus damage, then it's a safe build, Ben. Do you know what has bonus damage?
Reaper Expand.
Reaper Expand. That's a safe build, Ben.
Reaper Expand has been the best build for years. It just took a while for everyone else to realize it.
Yeah. Ben, I am the first person now to know that you are the innovator of all things meta. Okay? You called Reaper Expands the best build before it was the best build, okay?
That's the thing.
That's amazing.
Usually I'm complaining about things before they're actually good. I was whining to Roddy about Immortal Sentry before Immortals had the extra range.
I know, Ben. And sooner or later, it's going to catch on, and everybody's going to Baneling mine. And every Terran is going to have like a 10% win rate. And who do you think? Mr. Bitter.
I'm still waiting for Mutinitis to make its reign of dominance over the metagame.
Metropolis has to come back with islands. Ben had this awesome build on Metropolis. For those of you that don't know, just look at it as a big macro map where you have 2 islands in the corners. And what Ben would do is go into Mutas in his EVPs at all costs. Go Mutas. And it would go Mutinitis.
They go in double Stargate. Doesn't matter. Go
Doesn't matter. Go Muta. He would put Niduses on the islands and then just take the islands and play base trade the whole time. It almost worked against White Raw. And then White Raw went 5 Stargates.
Yes, he did. He was going special tactics.
And yeah. But
Muta's,
it would have worked if he didn't go 5 Stargates.
Muta's not actually that good against carriers.
Carrier Phoenix.
Yeah.
with the range upgrade.
That game started so well for me. I successfully hid my Spire. He had no idea.
No clue.
Thing is, he also successfully hid 5 Stargates.
And then you came in, you're like, yeah, my 10 Mutas are going to do well against these 10 Phoenixes.
It's like 13 Phoenixes. I was like, how does he have more Phoenixes than I have Mutas? This doesn't actually make sense. This defies the laws of StarCraft macro mechanics.
White Raw's a wizard, man. That's all I can really say.
He is, in fact.
Anyway, let's talk about the game. What do we have for builds so far?
Standard openings once again with Czech going gasless in the early game. Sin as Well, more or less done the same thing, barring the extra queens. He's getting a faster layer, and he's going to
much faster layer, Ben.
Be teching up to...
Where's that Baneling Nest from Sen?
He's going to be teching up to Muta's super fast.
There ain't no Baneling Nest, Ben. It's crazy in here. Of course, when you don't go to the Baneling Nest, you really die to what we saw on not Frost. What's that? Polar Nights, where you just go 2 base. You don't get the lair, you go Baneling all in, Zergling Baneling all in. This is the build if Sen was doing, he would have lost 100% of the time. That's not the case, however. Yep. He's in a place where he can really play super greedy. It comes about 25 seconds faster, anywhere from 12 to 25 seconds faster, this Spire. That's a really good position. By 8 minutes 45, 9 minutes, he's going to have Mutas out in the field.
This is actually a carbon copy of what we saw on Frost with the double Evo Roach play coming out of Czech. Czech is going to be getting those Roach upgrades out as quickly as he can. Sin going as fast as he can, straight up to Mutalisks. Now, the first time we saw this happen on Frost, we saw Sin transition immediately into Roaches off of a single Evo chamber. I'll be interested to see if he does the exact same thing here, or if he's going to try to mix it up a little bit.
Yeah, me too. Overseer was shown, though. This should be... see, I'm not a huge fan of
even this is the exact same to what we had on Frost.
The super fast Overseer, though. I think the Overseer should wait off quite a long time because you don't want to show the lair timings. So wait maybe 30 seconds, then push out with the Overseer. Because right now, I think he kind of told the build to his opponent. And if I'm checking this position, I'm pushing out pretty fast right now.
Oh, Sin, this is never going to work. Transfusion is going to last forever. And you've just sacrificed some lings. But he does manage to pick off a drone, which is nice.
Works out.
Slowing down the third base timing of his opponent a little bit. Again, Sin, single Evo chamber. Again, Sin, single Roach Horn. Of course, you only ever build one Roach Horn unless you're trying to go for a Tunneling Claws timing, which nobody does, except me.
It's a Mr. Bitter build. Your ZVP is game-changing. Hey, those suckers move pretty fast underground, okay?
They sure do, man, and they got to move faster soon.
All right, the Roaches are pushing out once he realizes that, you know, it's pretty reasonable to defend with just 2 queens. But the 8 Mutas are also going to meet up with those Roaches. Yep,
and this is a great catch right now for Sin. Again, very similar to what we saw on Frost. This time these Roaches are actually going to be able to pick off a queen, it looks like. But that's probably all the damage they're going to deal.
Not the hatchery. That's the money thing that you want to pick off. And unfortunately...
thank you, Sin, for not doing it exactly the same way. 13 drones on the production tab means Sin is going to power a little bit harder than we saw previously. This is going to take him up over 60 harvesters, which is going to give him a very nice, healthy 3-base economy. And hopefully we don't see him trying to go all in off of these 3 bases with just pure Roach. It didn't work out last time.
The real problem I'm seeing, though, the +1/+1 has already finished for Czech. He's mustering up only Roaches, no drone to saturate that 3rd base. So Sen might be thinking he has a lot more time to deal with this incoming Roach attack, and he doesn't. Roaches are popping out here, or moving out, and Sen doesn't see it. He doesn't have map coverage on that spot, so he could be in a lot of trouble right now.
This is actually super important. If Sin can knock these rocks down, maybe he can keep himself safe.
My God! Wow! Brutal!
Unbelievable!
Wait, no, Sen! Don't attack the rocks! Wow, that was so lucky.
As Sin with the Ihan timing of Brood War days past. Meanwhile, the second half of Czech's Roaches are going to show up in the 3rd base of Sin. They're going to get a couple of drone kills, but Sin is here with his reinforcing defenders.
But the main base is getting ravaged right now. Glial Reconstitution has just finished, but finally Sen going to be able to clean everything up, and you can see a pretty dramatic amount of units have been lost. 56 harvesters to 55 right now.
11 drones going down.
11 drones going down. That's pretty good, and 2-2 on the way. There's another 2-2 timing popping up here, and I like what we see, a Hydra Den being thrown down. He needs to get that tech switch up as fast as possible because he needs that extra damage.
Yep. Czech has begun droning again as well, though. Kind of. He added a few more drones, going up to 59 harvesters. Whereas Sin is going to power a little bit harder. The Hydra Den finishing up. Sin's also getting his 2nd Evo chamber, working on his armor upgrade. He's going to be behind in upgrades, but not hopelessly behind in upgrades.
Oh, look at that. Ben, that affects the gas timings dramatically. Okay? Now he can't produce and push out nearly as effective.
He's going to have like 4 fewer Hydras.
if I think it only comes down to like, what, 30 seconds? You're only mining 60 gas. It's 1 Hydra. That's That's a dramatic difference, man, okay?
It certainly can be.
A penny saved, okay?
Now, this is a little bit more of a dramatic difference. Sin's picking off a lot of drones here with these Mutalisks, and we're seeing no real response from Czech. Finally, he's going to bring up some queens, but this is going to leave the third base a little bit more exposed. So I love what we're seeing here. Sin's just cycling out the Mutas. He's not going to get a whole lot more traction out of him this game. He's going to keep him alive a little while longer, but for the most part, looks like an Overseer got picked off there. For the most part, he's just saying, hey, I want to kill as much as I can with these Mutas, and then I want to use that supply on something more useful like Hydralisks, because we see that Hydra production is really ramping up for Sin.
And now we see the classic Roach Hydra versus Roach Infestor. What's going to be better? In general, I would say if you're going to be aggressive, Roach Hydra is a lot better because the Roach Hydra gives you that ability to end the fight, right? If you're able to have a confrontation at your opponent's natural or your opponent's third base rather than your own third base, they don't have a lot of time to kite back with those Infestors. So I think this is a good decision. He's claiming map control and he's going to be pushing out. Although this map, where Heavy Rain, you can get into a little sticky of a situation where you're not in you're funneling down a little alley, and then obviously you get fungled really badly.
Unit clumping can be an issue. I tend to feel that Roach Hydra is just outright better than Roach Infestor these days, as the Infestor, not the powerhouse that it once was. Certainly, if your army is completely clumped and your opponent is able to land great fungals, those Infestors can be wildly effective. But honestly, when you're playing at this level, that just should not happen. Sometimes it does, but it should not happen.
Yeah, I agree. We're going to find out pretty soon here, as there is an assault being mounted, and there it is. Roach Hydra is coming in from the top.
Excellent play
really
here from
nice.
Sin. Pulling the army out of position.
Fungal missed.
Baits the first fungal, starts spreading out his units, and now the units are spread enough that there's just not going to be any real money fungals. Look at the great damage output of these Hydras. The Roach count of Czech is very high, but the Hydra count of Sin is much higher. And this army is just going to get hammered back. Sin is not ready to lay down yet as he plows through these Roaches. The last of them will go down. The Queens are going to fall as well. Infestors using the last of their energy on infested Terrans. Sin is going to even up this series at 2 each, Andre. He's maxed out against 120 supply, and he is looking very capable of winning against...
Great patience right there. He just waited for the +2 missile attack to finish, and then he went for it. Of course, the Infestors not nearly as effective because they don't have time. They spent energy on those infested Terrans. You don't want infested Terrans. You want that fungal growth. And now it's just going to be too much. The Hydra is giving too much value in this last fight. Not proactive enough from Czech. He wasn't checking where exactly Sin was on the map, and he paid for it dearly with his great concave.
Czech still trying to micro a little bit here at the end of things, but of course, the outcome of this one is a foregone conclusion. Excellent play from Sin on Heavy Rain to keep himself in this thing. And we're going to go to Game 5. All going to come down to one final map to determine which of these players is going to be joining us in the Premier League. Guys, stick with us. We're going to take a break. When we return, the decider of Sin versus Czech.